Hundreds of investors gathered in Sandton, Johannesburg for a 3-day conference to accelerate efforts to attract investments. South Africa hoped to raise $100 billion in investments over the next 5 years. More than 360 billion rands were pledged at this year's event.
Program Director, Minister Ebrahim Patel, Ministers and Deputy Ministers.
President Cyril Ramaphosa welcomed delegates to the second South African Investment Conference, held under the theme Accelerating Growth by Building Partnerships. The President promised potential investors that government will continue to remove hurdles to doing business in South Africa.
Through the expanding of network of Invest SA's one-stop shops, we are working to remove bureaucratic as well as administrative hurdles to investment. And this we're doing having had discussions with a number of you as investors and potential investors. We've taken steps and continue to take steps to remove all these hurdles and impediments.
Last year's conference saw pledges of over $20 billion worth of investment commitments, and this year also looks promising.
We will make the 1.2 billion trillion that the President has targeted in the next 5 years. We are quite confident we will be able to make that, so that we make, through those investments, we are able to create the much needed jobs for our young people. We are also able, through those investments, to grow our economy to respectable levels.
Our leaders in our local government sphere,
Japan's ambassador to South Africa, Norio, Maruyama, and Minister of Trade and Industry, Ebrahim Patel, signed an agreement establishing the Japan-South African Business Forum. Japanese companies committed to more than 6.8 billion rand at last year's conference.
Yes, and last time when President Ramaphosa visited Japan, he has a business roundtable with Japanese business people. And at the time, business people talk about what is important for their decisions. First is the stability, and the second one is the predictability. So improving both is quite important for South Africa to attract more investors from Japan.
One of the groundbreaking investment commitments came in the automotive industry.
The Toyota company has announced that the first production of a hybrid vehicle on the African continent will take place here in South Africa. That is a combination of a car that is driven by an electric battery and petrol technologies. That's the car of the future.
South Africa has been producing quality vehicles for South Africans and international customers for about 58 years. And in line with that, over the last 10 years, we've invested over 12 billion rand in supply tooling, manufacturing, equipment, and our dealer network. So I'm pleased that today I can announce a continuation of that journey of investing in South Africa. Globally, the automotive industry is going through some profound changes, and that's certainly been felt here in South Africa. In 2016, we had to make the decision not to continue with the production of the very popular Corolla model in 2020. And so I'm very pleased that after 3 years of study, we have been able to get approval for the investment of over 2.4 billion rand in the production of a new passenger car model at our Durban factory from the end of 2021. I'm also very pleased that this production will include, for the first time on the African continent, the production of the Toyota hybrid Synergy drive vehicle as well. That will be good for meeting future needs. Of course, the investment, we aim to bring smiles to our customers, but also to engage the passion and the talents of our over 8,000 employees in South Africa, and also to include those numerous family members of the extended family of suppliers, distributors, dealers, as well as supplier partners. The investment will generate an additional economic activity in South Africa of 2.85 billion rand per annum, and it will generate an additional 1,500 new jobs. Of course, I want to emphasize that this wouldn't have been possible had it not been for the very stable and secure future we have with industrial policy in South Africa and the new APDP Phase 2.
Patel's department also signed a 360 million rand investment by Amazon Web Services.
What we are signing here today is, as you know, South Africa, because of our history and legacy and the exclusion of black business from the mainstream, we've signed what we call under Black Empowerment Act, Equity Equivalent Program. So Amazon will be working with over 100 black companies to basically give them training, take them through the academy, take them through an internship program, but then locate those businesses within the general Amazon stable so that they can also get into the digital economy, into the fourth industrial revolution. And so it's really a program of black economic empowerment within the Amazon group.
Entrepreneurs from Zimbabwe also attended the conference.
If we look at it with an eye of an eagle, I think we must give the president a credit. The men have done a fantastic job. Look at how many months he's been in the office, and suddenly, just recently, the president was in the United States, in the UK, on a financial time. The business, the investors, welcome the president's message. I mean, look at it, the house is packed. International guests. If the international investors didn't have confidence to invest in the president of South Africa and South Africa, the building was going to be empty. So the agencies that are giving credits, they had no choice. Because there's positivity, they have to give a leeway to South Africa so that for the investors to invest in the country. And I'm pleased with what they have given us so far. It simply means the president is doing something. And positivity have taken place in this country. The tourism sector is now going to boom up. We just won the World Cup. So this will give us a little bit. And having a president that is preaching and creating and bringing back the investors' confidence to invest in this country, bringing back the dignity of South Africa in the world. That is the most powerful and positive thing has been happening in the last 18 months. So I believe every business person, every investor, this is the country where they want to invest. In Europe, there is Brexit. The European splits, the United Kingdom comes out, the English will come and invest in this country. We will have more of the black empowerment who have not been given the international platform to tap into it, because the English will want to taste the good quality of product of South Africa. There could be no other time than this time.
It is key. Investment. The level of unemployment is astronomical. It's unbearable, and it's something that has to be addressed quickly and urgently. What is needed is the capital. The ideas are there, the capabilities are there. What has been the missing link is the capital. So if the capital is to come, we have to make sure that we create the policies. We discuss, we create ideas, we put master plans in place which can create that conducive environment to bring more capital, because at the end of the day, the buzzword is capital. Production will follow.
Through the expanding of network of
CEOs of companies and other investors rallied behind the president's bold ambition to raise the 1.2 trillion rand over the next 5 years.
It was an amazing speech, very inviting, very promising, invigorating as he shared, and the statistics, the information, the updates, so to a T. The information, as far as I'm concerned, it compelled me, it draws me to South Africa, and it makes me want to connect and be a part of what's happening and what's unfolding as far as investing in different areas, because even with the presentations that are being made this morning, unbelievable. I think I felt it was very well put, very informative and very inviting.
The reason South Africa is an attractive place to do business has to do with its fundamental setup. Strong constitution, rule of law, security of tenure. You know that what you own, you will own tomorrow, whereas in some other countries, that's a question. Political stability, a very strong financial sector, and very well managed business sector. For all of those reasons, South Africa has much going for it, plus it is at the foot of the African continent, which is the last frontier of global economic growth. So there's a lot going for South Africa on a fundamental basis. We need to get our policies right and our reforms right.
No, look, I think it's fantastic. I really commend the President's initiative on really driving, having a real investment drive into the country. I think South Africa is really ready and open for business. It's got the depth of capital markets, the sophistication of the financial services industry, the world-class infrastructure. It's got everything it needs. Obviously, it's had a few challenges, and this is why this drive and the investor friendliness and the ambition to really become, the ease of doing business index and for the World Economic Forum and the World Bank to really climb that ladder just shows that there is a true commitment to making a difference. So when Mara Phones made an announcement last year to put up 1.5 billion rands in South Africa to build a smartphone manufacturing plant, we were able to open it in record time, which is in a year. We opened it a few weeks ago where President Ramaphosa came to open the factory in Durban, in KwaZulu-Natal, where we're employing over 200 people in Africa's first smartphone manufacturing facility. Over 60% are women, over 90% are youth. So it really shows that this is doable, and it's a very high quality device which is made in Africa.
Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, says her department is determined to remove barriers to entry for new market players.
As South Africa, we've given ourselves a commitment to train about 1 million young people as the department on data science and related courses in order to start them up to say, these are the new opportunities. As we do that, we say, go to that department to solve the problems. One of the key things I'm responsible for is the postal services. People in the country have been complaining about the pace of delivery, that we order parcels, they take too long to be delivered in our households, and it's difficult to track parcels. Now we're giving those young people that are software engineers an opportunity to say, after you've been trained, tell us what is that we can do to solve this problem. Deployment of drones to fetch the parcels and deliver at homes. And this is how we plan to digitize the entire government, be it on agriculture in terms of the connected farm. President Ramaphosa has introduced a model that's called the district development model, where it brings the entire government together. We plan together to say these are the services that we're going to render. We're piloting it in the 3 districts, namely OR Tambo in the Eastern Cape, eThekwini in KZN, Waterberg in Limpopo. And as we do that, we're saying these are the deployments that we're going to make. We take all these young, skilled people to go and showcase whatever technologies and solutions that they have in those areas. And from there, if it works, and then we learn from it. If it doesn't work, we say, where do we need to improve? And then we can escalate it to the rest of the country.
Also in attendance was the Minister of Small Business Development, Minister Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, reiterating the President's commitment to making SMMEs at the center of economic growth and job creation.
We are very pleased that at government level and at the highest office, which is the Presidency, they take seriously the participation of SMMEs in the economy of the country, but they know and acknowledge SMMEs as the catalyst for growth and the next wave for African development in the country. So we are quite happy, but we are also happy that with the announcement that have been made, they are not superficial in terms of SMME participation. They are not talking about SMMEs at receiving crumbs. They are talking SMMEs at, if we use the automotive again, as tier 2 and building SMMEs to become tier 2 and tier 3 component suppliers in that space. For me, as a minister responsible, I think it's an opportunity to propel our sector to grow forward. And that's not limited to the automotive. Across the range of businesses, there is a strong focus and say, where do the SMMEs participate, how do they fit in? And this move that says, it's not about asking where they, it's to say, we demand that they must be there. Part of the problem has been the registrations of businesses. And the registration of businesses has been, when you register for a business and you register for tax and you register for UIF, it takes a while. So now we can say as government through the DTIC, it will take you 1 day because there's a base portal that you can register for all the services at one go. And we are working on others to make sure those things go away. We are engaging with SALGA around the bylaws in terms of trading and trading rights and trading opportunities and trading hours to say how do we make sure that municipalities are responsive. On our part, we've got a program that we started 3 years ago with the municipalities. We have gone to municipalities. We've almost trained 75% of municipalities across the country on what are the problems that are red tape, and we are working on generic bylaws on certain issues that are common across municipalities to remove those things. But when the focus is on municipalities, there's also a focus at the national department. For instance, if an SMME has to apply for an incentive scheme, the process that is required to follow is so tedious. So we are working on saying, how do we make it easier for SMMEs to access these incentives in a quicker and faster way without following without being hamstrung by the bureaucracy. To that extent, we are also launching a database for SMMEs with a plethora of services that will enable them to access the opportunities and services with ease, which if there are hindrances, we can be able to plug in as a department and unlock that on behalf of SMMEs. And we are also working on how do we improve access to markets for our SMMEs, because you can fund them, you can help them with their businesses to manage their business. If they don't have market, they don't have a business. So we're working on that access to market. But what is critical for us is to say, how do we assist SMMEs in South Africa to export their services and products across the continent with the African Free Continental Agreement, and how do we make sure that SMMEs from other countries within the continent can also do business in South Africa without taking away that which South African entrepreneurs must do.
My name is Jens Paperitz. I'm representing a German 100% family-owned business, Ebrahim Medical. We are globally one of the leaders in medical devices and liquid pharmaceuticals. And I don't know, Mr. President, whether you still remember me at last year's conference on a Saturday morning in Soweto at the tour that you had championed. I approached you and I told you next year we will also join the ranks of investors, and we kept our promise. A few weeks after the investment summit, we broke ground here in Johannesburg for a new 300 million greenfield pharmaceutical plant integrated for multiple products. And actually the factory is quite high up. We will go online most likely next year, early next year. This pharmaceutical plant will generate 100 direct jobs and will create significant opportunities for export. But I think what is potentially even more important in this current economy, about 80% of all our content in this plant is sourced locally, built locally. We have a wonderful team of ambitious young local architects. We have a very competent network of project partners and experienced local suppliers. And although building up a relatively complex plant in a regulated industry can be quite a challenge, I can tell you, for all those of you who are considering investments, it is mostly fun and it has been an enjoyable ride. And I think what our project proves is we can do this here in this country better together. Thank you.
Some of the provincial premiers in attendance were pleased with the announcements by the President.
We look at the hallmark of his presidency, one of those key areas that's really going to distinguish him from the others is mobilizing investment, increasing levels of investment into the South African economy, and building social compacts, particularly between business and government, as well as labor. That's crucial for our economy. So I think this conference this year is pitched at a level much higher than last year. And one of the key things here is about announcing the investments. Yes, not just, this is not a talk shop. It's about who is bringing what money where in South Africa. And as Gauteng province, we are honored and humbled to be the host of the investment conference. We host the South Africa Investment Conference. We also host the Africa Investment Forum. The Africa Investment Forum is next week. And we are busy. So we are busy. We want to turn around this economy. We have many major challenges with regard to our economy. Too many people are excluded from the means to live decent lives. Employment, too many people are also excluded from the key sectors of the economy, including black business. SMMEs are not playing the role they are supposed to play in an economy like our size. In today's age, SMMEs are the key drivers of growth and employment.
Well, I think we are doing quite well. The initiative of the South Africa's Investment Summit is quite important, and seemingly it is yielding positive results. As the President was presenting inside here when he addressed, we have a number of companies that pledge, and those pledges have been realized already. I can attest that in Durban, the Maruyama has opened their plant. They are now operating fully, and we continue to support them. Secondly, number of big companies have expanded and expanded their company operations, and we support that. We want to ensure that the ease of doing business is something that is normal. People must not wait for long period to get licenses. We're making sure that in a day a person must be able to open a company, and the people must be able to open and get licenses that they need, including water use licenses, including EIAs and all of that.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of SAPI, it's a great honor to be here once again at the South African Investment Conference. Last year, SAPI committed 7.7 billion at our plant in Umkomaas in KwaZulu-Natal. I'm very pleased to say that we've made great progress. We're 40% complete on that project, and we expect to finish in September 2020. This year, once again, we want to make commitments, and over the next 5 years, SAPI is going to commit a further 14 billion across our 4 plants in South Africa. SAPI represents 1% of export revenue for South Africa, and these investments will allow us to grow further. I think it's very important to recognize that the 4 plants that I referred to are located in KwaZulu-Natal and in Mpumalanga, and we all know that those are regions which are going through some tough economic times, and these will be a significant boost to those local economies with regards to job creation, procurement opportunities, skills development. SAPI is proudly South African. We have operations all over the world, in Europe and in North America, but we're proud to be headquartered in South Africa. And this is where we have great opportunities, and we're very proud to be here today. So thank you very much.
Check in the country, the economy is not performing very well. There is a much greater need to galvanize investment in order to ensure that we reignite growth. That also applies in the province. The province economy has not been pumping very well. Currently, we are standing at 0.9% growth, which is not adequate to enable us to address some of the major socio-economic challenges that we are confronted with. But for us, attending this investment conference is very important, because the Northern Cape is one province in South Africa with incredible investment opportunities, and most of those investment opportunities remain unlocked. So in order for us to grow our economy, to address some of the major socio-economic challenges we have in the province, is to attend such platforms where we get exposed to investors, and that also provides us with a platform where we can actually put on offer what is it that the Northern Cape is all about. We are a province with rich mineral endowment. We're a province which has got lots of sun. In actual fact, we can become the solar hub of the world. And we're a province in terms of our agricultural strength. Our economy is agricultural economy, and if we can have major investment in agro-processing, we might be able to address the major challenges of unemployment we are confronted with in the province.
The newly launched African Continental Free Area Agreement will also boost intra-African trade and create a market of around 1.3 billion people. As a result of this, Isuzu just announced a 1.2 billion rand investment and expanding its exports into Africa using the South African platform. Johannesburg Abrahams for BRICS TV in Johannesburg.